Perfect. Thank you. Um, so yeah, a lot of situations required that we have to stay neutral, absolutely neutral, and do not make any assumptions. Um, Everyone need to keep in mind that the person, if you're translating for accused person, the person is not guilty until the actual court or the jury gonna make the decision for that. Also, the person is not guilty until there will be a decision for this. So again, you need to absolutely shut down any assumptions, any thinking that it might be bad or not, because that can change also the entire tone of your interpretation. It can change your like face expression. It can change your approach to the situation. So there's a lot of different things that can happen that will eventually people will start also noticing that. So we need to be sure that during any legal sessions, do not take any sides. Do not assume. Uh, do not advocate for any of the sides. And definitely, we have to keep all the personal opinions, emotions um, away from that. Everything need to be hide in your pocket before you enter those doors, and you'll start doing the interpretation. I know it can be challenging. At some points, yes, sometimes it can be. Um, Especially if, let's say, you hear some words that will feel like you will feel more sympathy for one of the sides, or you will feel more frustration um, towards other side. But still, you have to stay unbiased and professional as much as possible for that. So whenever you step into the law office, into the court room, that's where as an interpreter, professional interpreter, you need to pretty much shut this one down and turn to be a professional, right? Now, accuracy. Again, we talked about accuracy for the last 2 days, but probably we're gonna keep talking about this until end of the sessions because accuracy is currently the biggest problem that interpreters struggle with. Whenever interpreters feel like, oh, I don't have to say this or I don't have to say that, I can change this or that. Well, it doesn't work like that anymore. You need to be sure what are you saying, and everything need to be said as it's supposed to, because especially in the legal hearings, dates and times and situations sometimes can affect the entire process. Who knows? Maybe the person that was accused might end up with some kind of punishment, maybe in jail. So in legal settings, each tiny little mistake in your accuracy of translation make a difference and can change lives. So that's a lot of responsibility you have. That's why the interpreters that will participate at the court with us pretty much will go through the more detailed training for the court hearings and criminal cases. And yeah, there'll be a little bit more going on. But even in the law offices, we still need to keep in mind, even if it's just a conversation about the car accident, um, maybe a random disputes, you still need to provide the message as it's supposed to be provided. So that's something we have to keep in mind all the time. Okay. Now the professional conduct. So here in professional conduct is pretty much how we carry ourselves around. So starting from the probably the biggest enemy of the appointments in all settings is the punctuality. That's the biggest one probably currently that we all struggle. Beside punctuality, there are things like you know, coming to the appointment at all. So arriving on time, uh, we're not we're not even joining the session sometimes. Sometimes interpreters decide to um, just skip the sessions totally and waking up after 2 days that, oh yes, I forgot to do that. So we need to keep in mind that the difference between the casual interpretation and the legal settings is that you cannot forget anymore. That means like during those sessions, you are the most important person. And without the interpreter, the sessions might be rescheduled, might be totally canceled. One of the sides might feel unfair. A lot of issues regarding the legal procedures, financial issues. So if the interpreter will get late or will not show up to the legal session, it affects a lot of different people around involved in those cases. So being punctual and being at this appointment is absolutely very important. So we have to keep that in mind. Okay. All right. So that means be on time. You have to be always prepared for the sessions. And we're not talking only about knowing the language, but also we have to know how to dress properly. Like we are not going to the gym anymore. It's not the, hiking at the park. Now you're going to actual institution. You're going to the court. You're going to the law office. Eventually, you might go to the hospital. So dressing and looking professional also helps yourself. Like you are also advertising yourself for that. And the way how you carry yourself, clients will see it. And eventually they can also ask for you next time. They will recommend you to others. So you helping yourself, you're setting yourself as well in the market. So it's very important here. Communication, like if we use the language, so again, the communication must be fluid, must be clear. You cannot stop and think what you're supposed to say. For most of those cases, sometimes there's a simultaneous interpretation running, and you need to be prepared for that as well. Even if there is a situation when maybe 2 or 3 witnesses we have at the session, maybe there is multiple people involved, and people will start talking. You need to be sure that you can keep up with everyone. So of course you can go with your speed as well, like you can slow down the people to maybe shorten the sentences and maybe have like a chunk of information to provide, but eventually you also need to keep up with the whole environment in the room and see be sure what's going on. Again, professional boundaries, that's something that is also very important, and it can fail for many times. So we need to be sure that we're gonna keep those boundaries, especially in legal and medical settings. For example, if you will finish the court hearing, if you will finish the law office session, and the client will ask, like, can they have your phone number? Maybe they can give you a call later, have a chat. Like you need to know how to answer those questions. You need to be prepared how to approach the situations one-on-one with the client when in their breaks or after the sessions they approach you and they try to maybe get a little bit friendly. So all interpreters should act professional way in during those sessions, and definitely avoid any contact with the clients. Now, each of all those principles that we are talking about constantly, they must also to cooperate together. So going to each legal session, interpreter need to be prepared that the confidentiality need to stay, you need to be neutral, everything need to be accurate. There is no professional conduct issues. The boundaries will be kept, and like everything will be done correctly, because at the end of that, the lawyers or the jury or court clerks, they will see that. Like they will see that, and they will provide a positive feedback. They will say like, "Hey, I want that person at the court all the time. Give me that person again." So there's a lot that will help in the long run. So I encourage to start practicing whenever you guys are doing even a casual interpretations, even if it's just WCB and physiotherapies, or those little low effort medical sessions, even if you have to just translate which prescription the patient need to take. But yeah, in all those cases, each minute of your training counts, and at the end of the day, it will matter. So I definitely encourage on this. Okay. So, do we have any questions regarding this part before I gonna jump into the next one here? No, we're good. Okay. All right, let's have a quick chat. Conflict of interest, and like what's going on exactly with conflict of interest, because a lot of situations happening, and we also heard some stories in the last 2 days where there is a conflict of interest, or sometimes there is not conflict of interest, but we actually do not know how to interpret that. So definitely the conflict of interest that we can call like right away, which is like a personal relationship, family members, definitely, friends, maybe coworkers, and eventually, if we go a little bit further, definitely community, neighbors. So in each of those sessions, we must be sure that we're not scratching all those principles, and there is no conflict of interest in those situations. So again, we need to be aware that sometimes some things might not even be told anymore, or the clients might stop if they will see you if they know you and you will start helping them as an interpreter, they might to start questioning that. So those boundaries need to be established right away on the beginning of the session, and that's where we always encourage interpreters to tell that right away to the clients, that why are you there and what you're gonna exactly do, and there is nothing else that you're gonna do else for them, right? So in that case, also if you were doing something for the person, and now they asking you to do something else for the same person, well, that can create also a conflict of interest. So again, if you were doing maybe a physiotherapy for 3 months, and after some time we called you maybe that, hey, we need an interpreter on the court, and you see the same person, yeah, it can also create a little bit of conflict here, and eventually that case might be canceled. So we never know how the clients or the requesters will look at this. So just something that you need to keep in mind, that definitely family, friends, communities, in those cases, the conflict of interest might arise more often. And in this case, well, I mean, the worst case scenario, it can lead to a little bit of like mistrust from one of the sides. Um, at some point, well, in the medical settings, well, it can change the decision regarding the diagnosis, because maybe something wasn't covered. In legal settings, again, there'll be not the same outcome from the case or the examination if something will not be stated, because now the client feels maybe a little bit shy to tell that because they know you. So, but that's why we need to always keep in mind that you are absolutely neutral person, and when you are in the session, they need to be sure, and you need to guarantee that everything is confidential and you are neutral. So they need to trust you from both ends, either the clients, lawyers, or like the doctors and patients. Any questions for that? All right. Well, that's easy today. All right. So now, how are we gonna exactly recognize and if there is any party involved? So the first thing I would say, contact the, well, in this case, our company. If you will know this person that you know, you can give us a call right away. And you can also tell that to the requester on the side. Just, that's the pretty much the early stage where you can stop that from rising a little bit higher, and just tell us or the requester like, hey, I have to tell you that I know this person. I might not sure if they want me here, if I supposed to provide the interpretation for that person. So there are two options. Number one, they will say yes, and everything will be fine. Number two, they will agree with that, and they will ask to replace you. So there are two pretty much two different ways to that. If they will say yes, you can stay. Well, again, you have to follow the code, and they have to know that everything gonna stay during that session. If they will say no, in that case, we're gonna replace you from our end, and we're just gonna provide a different, sorry, a different interpret to that case. But yes, oh my gosh, sorry for that. But let us know. Let us know as soon as possible. Let the client know as soon as possible that now, if you know someone, we have to make some decisions here. So definitely, what not to do, I would say, do not ignore that fact. So even if maybe the client doesn't know you very well, like you guys just maybe see each other, but yeah, don't ignore that because it can change the session, right? Again, if you will ignore that, it's kind of like an assumption, oh yeah, it's not a big deal. So, but it might be a big deal at the end. Do not try to like pull up on the side the client or the requester, and do not try to tell them like, hey, let's have a chat about this. Maybe we can solve the situation, because that will be absolutely against the code of ethics, and it can also kind of be hooked up under the breach of contract as well. So just be sure that you are not doing that, and we can avoid it, right? All right, so if we look like actual scenarios where that thing can happen, so let's say you guys are approaching and it's like, oh, that's my friend. So don't not even try to talk to them. Just give us a call right away. If there's a family member, well, definitely. I remember we had the situations like this before in the physiotherapy sessions where the interpreter was assigned. The names were not provided to us. No, sorry, it was HS actually. The names were not provided, and when it came to the actual session, it came out like, okay, so that's my cousin, and so that's what can happen, right? So yeah, pretty much at the end of the day, recognize that, let them know to the company, let them know to the client, to their lawyer, and based on that, we can figure out what we can do with that and how we can approach this problem most of the time, right? Yes, I think we have some questions. Yay, go ahead. Who we have over there? Yeah, Surinder, go ahead.
Yeah, I've many times, not just with this agency, I've been given an assignment, and usually on the forms, it's just who's requesting the interpretation. So let's say there's a defendant, a lawyer for the defendant, and a lawyer for the plaintiff. Let's say the lawyers asked for the interpretation for somebody on the plaintiff side. So we only get minimum information, like we'll only get the defendant, the name of the office that requested the interpretation, and like very very minimal information, and I don't, like you said, you probably get very minimal information as well. Then how do you deal with that? Because then, like, if it keeps coming up, like, well, probably wouldn't come up that often, but when you get to the thing and you say, oh, I noticed this person, like even if it's a virtual thing and you're just like, I think I recognize that person, like we just have to just tell them, and then say, hey, I'm sorry, but I believe I know this person, and I don't think I can interpret for this session, and say goodbye, which is, it's kind of like
Well, maybe not exactly goodbye, but yes, if you recognize the person, definitely you need to state that right away,
yeah.
that you guys know each other. And based on that, the lawyer, I mean, sometimes they do agree. Most of the times, the clients agree when it's coming to the physiotherapy sessions or the gym sessions because there's no, let's say, sensitive topics or anything, and there's nothing that can actually be that much biased to change the situation. But in legal settings, you never know what can happen. And if the lawyers, let's say, do not know your language, and suddenly you'll be trying interpreting something from the client side, and the client was, still he'll be talking about the answering the questions, but meanwhile also he can add like, oh yeah, but don't tell him everything, right? Of course, lawyer will not understand what he said. Uh, you will, and now you are like now you don't know what to do. So that's why it's not all like we all. So we want to avoid the situations where the client has a problem, but also at some point we want to avoid the situation where you're gonna have a problem as an interpreter because now you're stuck, right? Either you're gonna lose a friend, or you know, or you're not gonna tell the truth what happened, right? So
Mhm. Sometimes, like, we're not given the topic of the thing. Like, let's say I was interpreting for the Ministry of Children and Family Development,
yeah,
MPFD, and let's say it was, let's say a case of social worker was going to investigate the client because there was some accusations about abuse or something.
yeah.
And let's say I'm that kind of person who would be like just so upset and just like okay, wouldn't be able to handle dealing with that. Then I would tell them, like, I'm sorry, I can't interpret it this because it uh, like it's a subject that really hurts me. Maybe I went through something, and I can say, look, I'm sorry, I can't I can't interpret for this session because it's um it's a topic that affects me personally. And that you guys would back that up, right? Like
Yes. Yes. So I mean, so basically, from if anything, any situations like a actual serious appointments do happening, um, and we have information about that. So the first thing we are looking for, what are the charges? What are the charges? What is the topic? What they might talk about this and who will be involved in that. And based on those information, we can give you a call and ask like, okay, so here's the deal. Do you think you can handle that? Right? In the previous years, there was not much chance for that because there was a lot of privacy policies everywhere. But eventually, when you're working with the same court all the time, the court clerks start to trust you more that this is a actual a real company, that we are bound by the code. We are going through the policies and stuff, so eventually some of the information are stated by the court, but again, not all of them. So that means, for example, they sometimes they're not telling us who you're going to translate for, which is a problem. Which is a problem because we don't know from which side we have to get you ready for. Sometimes, well, they just say, well, it's just a questioning, right? But no one knows about what. The thing that right now the government of Alberta did with their courts that we actually really like is that they provide the numbers from the criminal code. So if they will provide me like, okay, so this is 271 criminal code of Alberta, criminal code of Canada. That's where I can do this research, and that means, okay, so I can now I can ask the interpreter like, will that they can do it, they can handle it? Is it not too much for them, right? So that's going to be also the idea when we go into the later modules, where you guys going to see how those critical criminal cases look like, right? And how we are assigning people to them. So that will help as well, right? Abigail, yes, sorry, I was just talking too much. Go ahead, Abigail.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, I was just thinking, what if it's the way around that yes, the client knows me, I know the client, but there is a conversation between could be a physiotherapist or a lawyer that says, yeah, I am agreeing with my client. My client, it's okay for you to have the interpretation, even though you guys know each other. So,
Well, we still need to know about that, right? Because most likely there might be a chance that we're not going to assign you for any other assignments if there will be something related more closely to their privacy. Like I said, sometimes clients, patients, they will allow to do the interpretation. And the doctors or lawyers will agree because they know that there is nothing that they can be biased too much in those topics.
okay, so I will have to let you guys know, and then I'll
Well, it's
continue
good to
with.
know. Yeah, it's good to know. Like, hey, there's an interpretation. I know the person, but they let me do it. So that avoids pretty much that the confusion, and avoids the situation where we have to figure out quickly to send someone there.
Okay.
But yeah, actually, in those cases, if you can stay or not is mostly coming from the client or the patient, but also like the lawyers or the doctors will be involved in that decision as well, right? Because eventually, like at some point, they are more responsible for the information they provide to the patients or the client. So the client might say, yes, you can stay because I feel better with you. But the doctor will say, no, sorry, that's too confidential. I don't want you to be involved in that, and then that's where they can request, right? So that if there is agreement from both sides, then yes, most likely you can stay. Okay, I think someone else had their hand up. Daisy, I think that was you. Or not?
Sorry, it was me. Sorry.
Oh, there she is. Hi.
Yeah, I was saying this. Sometimes it happened. Like last time, I remember I was a psychologist, and then the psychologist she told me, she told me, Daisy, you know, at this point, me and you were the same level. So when you meet this person, if you recognize them, you're not supposed to talk to them unless they talk to you. You see? So that's what she did. That's what she told me.
All right. So, well, psychologist sessions are a little bit different because in psychology, if you will take part in the first or second session, eventually the people want to stay with you. And then also, well, it's good to do it because when the person attached to that, I mean, yes, so their expression and their statements might be different if they have the same person. And also from our end, when we are booking people for those sessions, we want to keep the same interpreter for that. If we're gonna start like swapping interpreters constantly for each psychological session, so basically they're just gonna talk about the same thing over and over again. It's going to be introduction over and over again. It's going to be the same topic all the time. And then the next day, another new interpreter going to show up, and that's day where they're going to do the same. So until until you do not feel, because usually there are WCB sessions, right? Those psychological sessions. I'm not sure. I would not say it's like very dangerous if you will stay with the same person and then you guys gonna do, let's say, the gym or something else, because that's another thing that we try to keep the same person for. So that's why it's very important for WCB appointments, whenever there is intake, that first introduction session and the interpreter is over there, we always try to keep that same interpreter for that program, because that interpreter is going to be involved in a lot of different situations and topics, and it's difficult to randomly assign someone else, and now they have to go again through the whole introduction, right? If that makes sense, I guess. Diana, please go ahead.
Hi, Peter.
Hi.
I really appreciate what you said about being about avoiding situations. I think that in general, if you use that concept of always being applying our professional ethics and standards of impartiality and not bias, and avoiding certain situations to every appointment you have, that in general has helped me, because sometimes, like as you said, interpreters have appointments can be assigned like with one person, like in, say, physiotherapy, for example. You may have to interpret for this as a client more than one time, and you were talking about all of these scenarios of like conflict of interest and confidentiality and all these things, and all of these kind of iffy situations, in my opinion, are avoided by just, for example, in subtle things like when you sit down with the client, you have a questionnaire, or you are waiting for the service provider to come in. Like I generally avoid situations where there could be side conversations, or where there might be moments of silence where you're right beside them and you're alone with them, and they could start trying to, because it's normal. I mean, you can't it's normal that sometimes they don't understand our role, so they might want to ask us personal questions of it. So I generally I apply this standard for every single appointment have, just to not have personal conversations. If there's a space where I could be alone with a client of waiting, I just I leave. Like, I'll be like just to the side. I'm not going to be in their space where I can invite a situation that could compromise my bias. And if there was a situation where I cannot avoid, and say they try to speak to me and try to tell me something personal outside of that is not with the service provider, I will gently and kindly repeat to them, I'm just the interpreter, and I'm not allowed to have side conversation. Just like we do that. I think doing that prevention with every client, no matter, because once you allow one little thing, one personal conversation with a client, and then you have to see them, then you've already compromised yourself. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's about prevention and avoiding certain scenarios in those subtle moments.
Yes, and yes, that's actually the slide we're gonna talk about this here now. Yes, you're absolutely right. Because now you have to set up those boundaries, right, with the clients. So, like, yes, going into this direction, your professional behavior demands to keep the boundaries, especially if we're talking about the legal settings, right? Because in this case, I would say it's more like a discipline and a little bit of common sense. If you're in that environment already, I would say keep in mind that you're not only participating in the conversation, but you're pretty much building up the conversation between people, right? And if you'll set up those boundaries and you'll be unbiased, it will help both sides. Because at the end of the day, if something will go wrong, a lot of things can be affected. So we're talking about the legal outcomes. We can talk about, any direct like affecting people. They'll be mad. They'll be sad. Maybe, you guys gonna lose friends, community, neighbors. So that's why setting those boundaries is important. But also, if you are now hoping to those conversations, like you said, you were in the room. We mentioned about this yesterday as well. You stay in the room with someone. Maybe not exactly, doesn't have to be the room. But yeah, you guys are on one-on-one, for example, somewhere. So you need to keep in mind that you cannot advise anything. You cannot advocate anything. Especially, we have a lot of issues lately. I believe, yes, WCB have always the problems, for example, with advocating. And not only WCB, AHS as well in the medical setting. So advocating is probably the number one problem that it's very difficult to get rid of it. I guess it's something like maybe it's our human nature, trying to sometimes help the people, and we see maybe they struggle or something. We're trying to say something, but eventually, yeah, we're getting complaints for that. So any advocating, advising people ideas, I would say no, absolutely not. Any support in any type, like at the end of the day, you guys are professionals, and your main role is to deliver the message. You are doing interpretation, so you are not there to support clients in any other way. And that's something that's one of those boundaries that you need to set up, and they need to understand it as well. You're not gonna hold them on their hands. You're not gonna, cheer them up. It's not your role. It's the role of, let's say, the lawyer, psychologist, the doctor, all those people involved. But your main role is to focus on interpretation, and keep those boundaries between them. Also, you want to avoid any legal issues eventually, because now they find a friend, and then you want to be a friend, and you did something, and eventually they said, no, they told me to do that. That's why I stole that stuff from the store, because they said nothing will happen to me. So we want to avoid those things, right? So yeah, if we go private relation, so any direct relation with the clients, that's another problem. We struggle with that. Well, this year is actually better, but the last year was very difficult. That's where the opinions are coming up. So a lot of interpreters suddenly thinks that they know more than the lawyers, or they know more than the doctors, and they will start telling the client like, oh yeah, don't listen to him, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I was there, I had the same case, and it didn't happen to me. So yeah, don't believe what that lawyer is saying, believe me. So no, any personal opinions should be avoided, right? So no advices again, so definitely side conversations. I like this part because side conversations can turn out to pure chaos sometimes. And we had those situations. We had those situations where people pretty much just passing by each other, saying like hi, not much. And it turns out to be a huge drama where the whole court hearing was just canceled and rescheduled, and they needed to change the interpreters because the interpreter might be biased. But there is also a lot of situations where people trying to find a way how to abuse the system, how to cheat the system in medical, legal, government. And, they can even approach you. Like, they can just sabotage the whole thing. If they know a little bit about the procedures, they can just approach you and start talking to you, even if you don't want to talk to them. So definitely we have to not engage in any side conversations, or like even saying hi or anything like that. Definitely no sharing information, your private information, contact, phone numbers, emails, that need to be avoided all the time. Because yeah, again, it can end up when that situation will be also abused by the clients, right? I think we have two people there and with their hands. Yeah, go ahead, guys. Bingwen, wanna start?
Yes, I have a question about, because I never did the legal interpretation before. But when I do the interpretation for WCB, I always meet the patient advanced, and we did a small talk about his or her situation, so I could know how to do my job better in the future. So just want to know how about in the legal situation? Do we need will we get the story advanced before our job? I mean,
sometimes yes, sometimes not. So it all depends from the policy of the law office, policy of the court.
okay.
Depends from them. Like I said, like they can provide the charges,
Mm-hmm.
and they can only mention like, hey, this is a civic matter.
Okay.
Right? Eventually, when you go into the court, or you go into the law office, you have the people who are responsible for those things. So, for example, you can ask the court clerk. If, you're going to the courtroom, and the court clerks are usually sitting there before everyone, and they like those are also the people who will delegate you. Like they will tell you where to sit, what's going on, who's gonna be involved in here, and who are you also translating for. So those information are you might receive like at the actual courtroom. The only information I can give you is like usually if I can tell you like, okay, it's a family, civic, or criminal matter, or it's a law office regarding maybe a car accident. But based on what I know, I can create you a quick story, I guess, where I think that the words and situations can happen.
Okay.
And based on that, I'm providing all those information to the interpreters, right? So yes, you are usually prepared at least a little bit ahead. But there is no, because if they will have to tell us the story, they will pretty much have to send the entire protocol from the police station.
Okay.
Right. And so yeah.
I still have a chance to prepare for it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Got it.
Marat, go ahead. Marat?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
As for avoiding direct contact with the parties, how many years does this obligation last for? For example, is there like some official guideline, like 2 years after we're done, 5 years? Any guidelines?
We're going by the default with 2 years. That
years,
you cannot, yeah, like yeah, usually it's that's what we have in our systems, that we're avoiding at least 2 years of direct contact.
Thank you for the answer. Thank you.
Alejandra, you have something?
Oh yeah, good afternoon, Peter.
Hi.
Just a quick question. You mentioned that in the legal matter, we can't talk to the other party, not even like hello or anything. And I ask these because like I do CVI regularly, and when I arrive there, I usually arrive 15 minutes early, and sometimes the client arrives, I don't know, like maybe at the same time or so, and we're like in the waiting area together, and like we say like good morning or good afternoon or whatever, like not even introduction or anything, like just briefly saying hello or something. So in the legal, you're saying we're not allowed to speak at all.
Yes, it's different. It's a little bit different.
Okay.
It's a little bit different because I mean, you can't be too much biased when the client is doing exercise at the gym, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, like what you can tell the physiotherapist, like he did the 5 reps and you tell the physiotherapist he did 7, right? That might be the only bias. But yeah, if you're doing legal stuff or medical, well, that's where the serious topics can happen, right? Maybe they will try to convince you to.
Okay, so no contact, no.
Usually, yes.
Avoid everything.
Yes, you want to avoid that. You want to stay natural. You want to stay away from both sides, especially if there's sides. If there's defense, there is the prosecutor, and yes, you want to stay. You don't want to be involved in that, right?
Okay.
Again, that is the difference between the physio and the legal stuff. That's where the actual topics are more difficult and more extreme, I would say.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. All right, well, let's get going. Where did we stop here? All right, no explaining, no clarifying on your own. So again, a lot of interpreters try sometimes to add something from their own. And it can change the entire story. It can change the entire testimony. If, let's say, the lawyer will ask a question, maybe like, hey, did you have this in your hand? And the interpreter will translate that to the client, and then he will say, no, I did not have in my hand. And then the interpreter will say, no, he did not have a gun in his hand. Well, it's gonna change a lot, right? For example, or the tool in their hand. So clarifying, and like, you cannot add stuff by yourself, or you cannot reduce anything. Sometimes if the lawyer is asking a complex question to the person, and the interpreters are telling the same question to the person, but now after that the person will say like, I don't get it, I don't understand. An interpreter will start explaining that to them. Well, that's the problem again. So the proper approach is supposed to be questions said by the lawyer, asking the person, you are the interpreting the question to the person says, I don't understand, and the interpreter say to the lawyer, I do not understand. So that's how it's supposed to be done. So you are not explaining anything to the client, and it happens a lot. It happens a lot because sometimes interpreters just, well, I mean, we're just humans, so sometimes it is happening. And that simple explanation eventually can turn out to like a full conversation, and suddenly the lawyer is just looking at both of you when you guys are chatting about this for the next 2 minutes, and it can destroy the entire session pretty much. So clarifying explanation, don't do it don't do it by yourself. If there's a question from the person, from the client, that they do not understand, please explain, clarify. That's where you have to provide the same question to the lawyer. Now, if you do not understand something, you can also tell the lawyer or tell the judge that interpreter requests clarification on this word, on the topic, or interpreter is asking to repeat the question. So here in a legal setting, especially at the court, you will go more like in the business role. It's not casual anymore, right? So we need to keep that in mind. Now, another thing that interpreters are making mistakes very often is taking control. So the taking control during any conversation, any topics, is whenever the lawyers start talking, or the clients will start talking, eventually the interpreter is going to start interrupting them, try to put their own words to that, maybe try to explain to the lawyer or try to explain to the other person, like, no, it's supposed to be this, not that. The interpreter is going to start changing like the whole pace, the tone of the situation. Try to avoid that at any cost. We do not want to do that because eventually those information will be unclear. And now, as an interpreter, you are involved in that conversation. You're not doing interpretation anymore. You're not helping the sides. You are actually actively taking a part of the conversation. And well, that's going to be, again, breach, biased, and well, it can end up pretty bad. So if something, again, if something is unclear, I would say, yes, professionally ask politely, like, yes, this is unclear, after they finish, especially if there's like a full statement coming up. So just wait for them and then ask them like if they can clarify something, or if at some point, if the lawyer or the judge is going too fast, or they're talking too much, or the clients are talking too much, well, eventually you can also slow them down. Eventually, just tell them, again, professional approach, that interpreter request to slow her down, or for the better accuracy, or to better understanding, so you can ask people before that or after they finish. But do not like hook to the conversation itself and suddenly start interrupting everyone and try to work on yourself, because yeah, it's gonna create a little bit misunderstanding for everyone. The other thing that is very important, emotional involvement. So here, this is very related to the situations where we know people. So again, boundaries, again, the conflict of interest, again, being biased. And in that emotional involvement, it can change a lot in your interpretation whenever you provide it. So let's say if there's a court hearing, the situation is very serious. They're talking about some very serious situations here, very critical. Eventually, the tone of the interpreter voice will change. They can start to like recognize and feel if the interpreter is getting scared, like if there's stress involved or fear. Definitely avoid for all the costs to be like, if they're going to start thinking that the interpreters might be under some kind of influence. So no, we don't want that. Body language, again, well, your body language needs to be as much neutral as possible, right? So you don't want to show them that now you hear about the accused person and suddenly like you hold your fist ready, because you're angry already and you're frustrated. So they don't want to see that from you. As an interpreter, you need to stay neutral. Your facial expression as well can say a lot. If you'll be angry, if you're gonna feel sorry for the person. So the judges or lawyers can see those things. Practice. I would say practice, grab a mirror maybe, and practice how to be neutral as much as possible. Do not cry. Definitely, if you feel bad about the situation, please hold it up until the break or until the session is finished. The last thing you want to do, especially it happens usually in the medical settings, whenever we have a family, everyone are involved, it's a sad situation, and interpreter is the first person that's gonna break. So that's something that will it just doesn't look good. And that means like you're not trained properly, or you're not just meant to do those topics, right? Another thing, independent communication. Well, communication, again. So as an interpreter, you always, you need to keep, again, we're going again for those boundaries. So you have to keep in mind that even those little tiny talks, after you guys finish, maybe, I remember someone asked yesterday about giving a ride to someone or talking to someone in a private sessions. You want to avoid that, because like I'm talking about all those situations where it's a breach of contract and stuff, but it will also affect you as a person. So all communication with the clients, sometimes the clients will try to abuse that as well, and it will go against you like as a person privately, right? And there were different weird situations where we had calls from the interpreters when they were like, oh, I was helping this person for 6 months, like I did all the translation for this person, why no one pay me for this? Well, first of all, no one knew about that. The second part is that was not authorized by the actual requester, so it wasn't authorized by the court or the hospitals, WCB, right? So there's a lot of situation, and eventually the clients say like, well, I'm not gonna pay for it. So if we're looking from this perspective, yes, each minute of your help also counts. And well, being honest, yes, it need to be monetary stuff. So it is valuable and you provide a service, and the last thing you want to do is work for someone for a long time for free. Another part that will affect you, well, definitely they might start using you, for their good all the time. and well, you're a good person, you just want to help, but it will be like not ending, never ending situation, right? So they're gonna keep calling to help them with this and that, and well, until you're actually gonna break and say like, okay, I'm done, I can't do it anymore. So just keep that in mind. It's not only from the professional perspective, but that independent communication boundaries are also protecting you as a human, as a person, and your private life. So that's something to go with. I see the questions. Before we jump to those questions, let's just quickly maybe summarize here for today. So your professional behavior standards always should be that you always arrive early, be those few minutes ahead of the sessions, don't get late, don't make no-shows, especially in the legal medical settings, because it can end tragically for people involved and the clients. Like sometimes it can be life-threatening or life-changing. So keep that in mind, that we need to provide those information, and those, when we booking interpreters for that and we provide that confirmation, this whole circle is built on a huge trust, right? The client trusts the lawyer trusts us, we trust you, and eventually if one of those sections will fail, the appointment will not happen. It's not always the interpreters that are not showing up, the clients are not showing up very often too. So it's not just, you know, like a one side of the story. There's more into that. But from our perspective, if we provide the actual everything that we can do, the service, and everything will be good, there will be no issues to complain. There will be no issues, you know, to have any problems. And well, whatever they doing with their clients, that's on them, right? So, again, dress code, very important, especially for the court legal hearings, law offices. Just keep that in mind, that the dress code is important. Stay focused, that's important as well. No, you want to avoid any personal contact, any situations that can involve third parties in that. Always interpret everything accurate again. And well, the most thing that we want to avoid regarding the boundaries, so yeah, no advices. It will influence the whole session, it will change the decisions. So no advices, no summarizing anything, no side conversations. We want to avoid any personal involvement, to avoid any biased situations, right? Yeah, I guess that's it for today. So yeah, if we go with all those, if we follow the code, and everything will be clear, all the boundaries will be done. We create the circle like a shield for ourselves, for yourselves, for the clients, for the whole session, for all people involved, and eventually it will matter. It changed the whole process. If everything is working perfectly fine, appointments can be done faster. Maybe we don't have to do like 10 sessions. Maybe there can be 5 sessions for the client. So at the end of the day, it's not that we're just looking at our results, but just look from the perspective that you guys are helping people a lot. And without you, those appointments will not happen. So something that we can keep in mind, everyone. Marat, yes, please go ahead.
Can you hear me now, Peter?
Yep.
Sure, great. So regarding clarification as one of the interpreter's tools, Is it okay when working in a courtroom to use this phrase? The interpreter would like to clarify something. If you don't mind, Your Honor, the plaintiff used an ambiguous word. Like, is it like something within the guidelines?
But wait, so what did the person use? The plaintiff used what?
Something ambiguous. So the interpreter needs to clarify what some of the participants said. So is that phrasing okay? Something within the guidelines? Like the interpreter would like to clarify, Your Honor.
Yeah, so kind of the same question came out yesterday when you have to say something different, or you have to say exactly as the client said. That doesn't make any sense sometimes, right? But again, if their clients is talking like without any sense, or is asking constantly for repeating the questions, or is not answering the question, it can be annoying. But yes, you have to still saying the same thing over and over again as they are saying, and probably the lawyer or the judge will get frustrated and they're gonna just shut it down. But whatever well, no, because you kind of like a snitching on the client, and now you are biased in towards the judge in the favor of the court, kind of, right?
Hold on.
That makes sense.
No, I'm actually asking if somebody is using ambiguous words, if I am not 100% clear with what they meant, I am supposed, at least in other contexts, I'm absolutely supposed to clarify what it means. So yesterday I actually went to the Court of Justice here in Edmonton, and I saw an example of that with a pretty experienced interpreter. So I'm thinking, what is I'm just trying to understand what STS guidelines are like regarding this. So how do I express that before the court? Do I say an interpreter would like to clarify? Your Honor.
If you want to ask anything, or you're asking the judge anything, pretty much, you always saying yes as an interpreter, kind of in the third person. So all the questions or clarities or anything like that, usually you have to say interpreter did, interpreter asking, interpreter doing that most of the time. As a third person, yeah. Cassie, go ahead. Hi.
Very good afternoon to you, everybody. It's pretty snowy here. Well, I would tell a couple of things. It happens that, like, in some cases, interrogation is happening, i.e., in the court or sometime with the police, and the officer would tell you, the interpreter, ask him how much he drank today, or ask him. So it's crucial at time before your session began, even with the court, like whenever it is possible for you to make yourself clear, so that it's through you the information is passing, but not from you, so that the person who is going to ask question asks the client directly, like, how did you come here today? Not like they ask you, how did he get to the court today? It's important that you clarify that. Some people, even in court or sometime with the police, or in many places you go, you try to explain them that they are going to get information through you, not from you, about the client. They might feel a little bit upset, but it's important that you clarify that from the beginning.
Yeah, well, we have to keep in mind that a lot of these people are not exactly also educated in that.
Yeah, I know.
So doctors, lawyers, hospitals, pretty much you name it, even WCB case managers, there's a lot of situations where they have absolutely no clue how the procedures work.
Yeah.
And we are getting a lot of weird complaints from the clients when they're just asking us stuff, and we have to actually explain them and
Yeah.
educate them what's the process. Like why is happening? Why the interpreter is saying sometimes in the first person and they're confused, sitting there like, why are you talking to me like that?
Yeah. It is important because, like I said before, the information is passing through you,
Yeah.
not from you.
Yep.
And another thing I would say regarding personal involvement, regardless of what the client may manage to tell you, how they are victim of a situation, how their rights have been violated, and so on, always remember there are two sides of any coins. That so do not buy in anybody's story. Just bear that in mind. Regardless of how sweet, how much that person may sound, how much tears, how sincere they may appear, there is
So,
always another
you
side of
know,
the
like
story.
remember when the kids, what kids are, the babies are doing when they don't want to hear the parents, like they just like, no, I don't hear you, I don't hear you. That's what you can do. Yes, if that's where the situations are happening and the boundaries are getting crossed, when the that second part and people, they just try to like put that empathy in you now, like, oh, that person is bad. Like, yeah, if you're translating for them, don't listen to what they say, right? Yes, you are not there to listen to the second party. Absolutely avoid that. That's where we coming up with those side conversations and personal involvement. You have to avoid that.
Yeah,
you have to
fantastic.
avoid that as much as possible, because it's not just that it will affect only you, but also, believe me, all those courts have their ears and eyes in every wall, and you never who's watching you, right? And if there'll be a lawyer from the opposite side that's going to see that you're talking to the people now, yeah, they might to request to, okay, we want to remove that interpreter now, right? Because we might be biased. So yes,
Thank you.
You're right. Yeah. Sakshi, you have something?
Yes, so I've never been in a legal setting, so I will just relate it to somewhat like medical settings that I have been in. So, there was a claimant and a medical professional. Both of them understood Punjabi and they understood the communication. And before the physiotherapy session began, they told me the physiotherapist told me to wait outside. It's he can manage that, right? So sometimes the claimant is also not comfortable because they have to change their clothes and stuff like that. They tell us to wait outside, and it's understandable, right? So in the next following meetings, because you are on a program with them, and you know that they're the similar people. So do I have to take a permission, or do I have to be there? Like what to do in these certain cases? I know you said use common sense, but just by obligation, is there anything do we have to take care of?
So wait, on the next session, you want to enter that room?
No. I just like, do we have to tell them or do we have to ask them before each session? Should I come if I'm needed or something like that? We just sit patiently outside.
Well, yeah, well, I mean, if they're kicking you out from the room for the longer period of time, that's rude. I don't like that. If the patient need to, dress up or something, and then they say like, okay, so you can step out, that's fine. But eventually, well, they have to tell you if they want you back, right? Like, they don't want to keep you behind those doors all the time.
So the other time, if they are not in the physiotherapy, they are doing the exercises on their own. It's just kinesiologist checking in maybe from time to time, like 5-10 minutes for the entire duration, right? So that's what our role comes in.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's my problem with all of you guys. You never telling me things like this. Never. There was not a single interpreter in the last 2 years to tell me actual feedback. What is going on during those sessions?
I mean, like, it's not always, it's sometimes.
Because we do not know. We, like, from our end, if there is a requester calling from any CBIs, right? Any life marks. They call and they say, hey, I need an interpreter for the physio, 2 hours physio. That's it. And then suddenly, like right now, during those sessions we having here since Monday, I just starting to understand more and more what's going on. Like suddenly in the 2-hour physio session, you guys are running with the massage therapist, you're running with a psychology session, you have like family doctor involved, the family members are coming, like there's like a whole circus going on over there, right? So it's difficult to answer the questions currently about the situations no one was aware of. So it's on you, each one of you. No one is telling me anything, but yes, I appreciate that now. I think those sessions will also help us in the next upcoming days, because a lot of people also giving their own personal feedback from their work, working in the different environments, and it will also help us probably understand the role a little bit better.
Okay.
Right. So, but you know what? Actually, send me an email with that story. I would like to study that and do some research here.
I would not want to put anyone in a difficult place. Like I would not want to name anyone. Is that it?
You already did. No worries.
That can be any of my appointments, right? So
no, you're fine. No, but I mean, at least I would like to at least know, you know, like a general idea of what's going on, because that can also give us a little bit better approach to the appointments and prepare interpreters for the future.
Yes, and yeah, I have one more doubt, like for no-shows. So it has happened many a times that in all these harsh weather conditions, it's only after going to an appointment we know that the claimant is not showing up, like today and other previous days. So like we of course have their number on our interpreter intelligence app like that. So do we call them like maybe before starting, okay, are you coming, because there are so many reroutes or stuff like that?
You can call them directly. So well, that's exactly what we were talking for the last hour and a half. Where have you been? No personal contact. Absolutely not. What if they're gonna save your phone number, huh? And they're gonna start calling you tomorrow to order them a pizza.
But then how to avoid such situations like
You
that?
can.
It has happened to me like multiple times with the same person.
Well, if it's happening multiple times with the same person, and we're talking about WCB, did you let us know about that?
Yes.
Okay. Did someone do anything about that?
They made me wait for like the kinesiologist, told me to wait for like finishing her appointment, and then she would want to call the person, and I
So technically, well, I have a news here. We were actually talking with the supervision department, if we can call it like that, of WCB 2 days ago. And that topic was touched. Yes, we were talking about that because you're not the only one. It happens everywhere across the whole province with a lot of different interpreters. There is many reasons why the claimants are not coming to their physiotherapy sessions, to their gym. Maybe they cannot, maybe they don't care. So there's a lot of different stuff.
Yes.
And we touched that. So according to WCB, if that is happening more than, I believe, 3 times or 4 times, that person is going under investigation and might be removed from the WCB program. So they will get how you name that? I forgot the word. Well, they're gonna be discharged, pretty much. They will be discharged from the program, and that is because I'm not sure how many of you know exactly how does it work with the claimants of WCB, but they must attend those sessions. It's for them. So a lot of those clients probably are also working still part-time. It happens as well. So that means they were assigned to the modified or light duty by their employer. So the work case manager from WCB is in touch with the employer all the time. And let's say employer will say, okay, so here's the deal. We're gonna keep this employee with the broken arm, and he can, let's say, I don't know, sweep the floor with his one hand for 4 hours a day, right? And then the WCB will say, okay, so in that case, we're gonna help the person, and whenever that person is going to the physio for 2 hours, that will be paid to them, which will be at the end still combined as a partial like employment income. So they must attend those appointments because that's where they're getting the benefits for. And if they will stop doing that, eventually WCB will discharge them, because if they say it's the same idea. If you have an employee and you pay the employee and that the employee is not coming to work for 5 days, well, what you gonna do? Probably fire him eventually, right? So that exactly works. But yeah, again, we not always know about those situations. If you have a particular person who's doing that, send me the claim number and we can figure this one out, right?
So yeah, okay. If it is not more than 3 times, it is just the 3rd time that it was there.
But it happens. I mean, it happens to everyone. And now again, answer your questions like, yes, you go into the location and there is a no-show. Well, we have no control over that. No one does.
Yes.
If they will decide like, okay, today is snowing, Wednesday, and I absolutely not want to get up from my bed, well, that's what they're gonna do, and you cannot help with that, right? So the only thing that we can still have, like, you still need to go to the location. I'm sorry, you still have to, you cannot contact them. However, if you think that the person, like if you are 100% sure that this person again will not gonna show up, give us a call a day before. Maybe we can call the case manager, maybe we can figure out something. The proper channel here will be contacting us. We contact WCB, combine you guys on the phone call, and you can do the interpretation for that person with the case manager, so you guys can confirm, hey, are you coming tomorrow or not?
Okay, we cannot contact the clinic also directly, like where the appointment is scheduled, because sometimes they only, okay.
No.
Yeah.
Especially do not contact the clinics and calling them, you know what, I'm not coming today. No.
Not about that, yeah.
I actually fired a person yesterday for that.
Oh, okay.
So that's a breach of contract, and clinics, you guys are not working with the clinics, right? So that's like clinic has nothing to do with that. And what they will do when you call them, they will send a complaint that, hey, your interpreter is randomly calling us, telling us that they're not going to show up. We don't even know what's going on. Why are they bothering us, right? So the clinics you should not contact them. Now, I know there's a problem because it doesn't work same in the other direction.
Yeah.
And the case managers and clinics contact you guys.
Nope. Oh, yeah.
And we are fighting with this since last year over and over and over again. And we're educating, we're training them, we're telling them, hey, leave the interpreter alone. After the hours, they have their own lives. If you want schedule interpreter, call us, get us. Because a lot of situations also happening when the clinic is calling you and like, hey, I have something quickly, can you help? And well, they're not gonna tell us, so we're not even have this in the records, and we can't even pay you for this. So there's a lot. So yes, I'm fighting with this. I'm fighting with this as much as possible. We'll see how it goes. Murat, yes.
So can you hear me now? I have to ask this. Something is wrong with my microphone. Your instructions are clear. However, it's they can result in some very unpleasant situations. Like I wait in the lobby of the Millard Center, and I don't know how the LEP looks. They pass by because they don't know how I look either, and they don't know my name. They walk all the way to the gym. They start exercising, doing that stuff. I wait like 15 minutes past the time of the appointment. I come to the gym on my own. I approach. I find the physical therapist who is supposed to work with them, and I tell that nobody approached me. And the physical therapist tells me, "Well, your LP has already been working out for like 30 minutes here, and we thought you didn't show up." And in that case, what do I tell? I mean, it's your duty to call Sandal Translation Service. It's the LP's duty to call Sandals, because neither of them knows the Sandals phone number actually.
Well, by the rule, you should be there like 5 to 10 minutes ahead.
Yes, but
you should, as far as I heard, I was never there. But I hear that apparently you have to pass security. Security is giving you a tag, the interpreter tag or something, right? Is that correct?
That's true, but still, I don't know how the LP looks, and the LP doesn't know how I look.
So from that security, are you still approaching
Hey, Peter, sorry to interrupt. Can I answer him that question?
Yes, go. Yes, please.
Okay. The first thing you do when you get at Millard, you have to go at the receptionist. Tell them your client, show them the claim number and everything, and sit down over there. The moment they show up, they're going to tell you, oh, there is your interpreter and everything. You see, that's why you always have to arrive, in advance.
Daisy, thank you for your contribution, but I actually wanted to hear the HR person's answer, because I've been there 100 times, right? And I'm asking this because I had a pretty sketchy situations in my experience with Millard. So the receptionist doesn't know every LEP in face as well, especially if this is not the LEP's first time there, and the LEP doesn't have to obtain their name badge. They already have the name badge.
Are they not signing in the binders, like at the entry of the reception?
Other than the very first time they show up there, they don't. They just walk by those glass doors, and that's it. So there is no way to know which one is, unless I call them, unless I do something special. And this is why I had to call the LEPs multiple times. Shame on me, but this was the only way to solve this problem.
Well, they should have something. I mean, it's even for the fire problems. They need to do the head count. So there should be a binder.
Nobody does. Nobody does.
May I give you a little help here?
Yeah, sure, please.
Okay. If you already get your interpreter badge at Miller's Health, and you're waiting for the client to arrive, and you don't know how the client looks like, and if you, like Peter just mentioned, it is okay to call the client. And if the client doesn't answer, as you enter Miller's, after the lift, after you pass the lift where those big rocks are, there is a room there where there is a second reception. And there is there are two ladies there usually on the left. You can tell that you are looking for client by the number, by the case number. They will look for you. Either on the left, you will find one, but also depends on which gym they are going to. If they will find out. They have the computer, they will tell you if the client is already in which room probably the client is going to be. That may help you a lot. Yes, you can go ahead, Mark.
In that case, yes, but 95% of my appointments with Millard were in the other areas where they don't have another particular receptionist. I understand what you mean, and yes, that is really easy with the purple room. But with the
what do you mean another area? Are we talking about the physiotherapy clinic or airport?
Millard facility is a huge building with multiple gyms in there. They have one receptionist and the security gates with the glass doors, which anybody can walk through. But like there's nobody actually counts every single person that comes in and out. That's the issue.
Okay.
Actually, they have 3 receptionists, one at the entrance and one on the left, one on the side after you pass the security. Depends on which gym the person is going to go.
Like I said, with the yellow and is it green gym, which I mostly worked with, those gyms don't have their particular receptionist. I had to talk to multiple physical therapists to understand who is the therapist assigned to that particular LEP. It's a big issue and a big headache if you don't know how they look.
Well, I guess I have to schedule probably a meeting with the Millard Hill and figure this one out. I know there are teams. Is that correct? There are teams like the green team, purple team or something. And also they have a problem because they do not communicate between each other. And your situation, Murat, is pretty good because many times interpreters are at the gym and the reception from now, it looks like from the other side is calling us and saying like, hey, your interpreter is not showing up for an hour. And we call the interpreter and the interpreter is like, no, I'm with the client here on the gym. So now that explains the situation where you have 3 different desks with the receptions and they're complaining about that because probably you skipped one of those desks. And
And the funny thing is that those interpreters, they are complaining about no-shows. Those are actually the interpreters who followed your guidelines like very thoroughly. Because there are those you know who didn't meet their LEPs. Yes,
exactly. That's why I told you guys. Amazing we have those sessions because now I can hear the stories.
Okay, Peter, one more question. I will have my appointment in the court tomorrow. Who is supposed to sign on the app? Is it the court clerk in the courtroom?
Usually, yeah, it's a court clerk.
Thank you so much for your answers.
If you have a problem, just give me a call. There might be an issue with the application for all legal sessions. Actually, it's not updated yet. You're gonna have to swipe left or right, online, offline papers. When is the time interpretation provided? And between that, you're gonna have a little slide bar. So if you cannot close your job, just slide it to the offline.
All right, and if it's past 3 p.m. tomorrow when you will be busy, I should probably call the the general phone number.
Oh yeah, if it's past 3, we're gonna be here.
Yeah. Thanks so much for your answers.
Yep. Emmanuel, go ahead. Oh my gosh, poor guy was sitting there all the time waiting. Go ahead, Emmanuel.
Can you hear me, Peter?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. Actually, I do have a general question. Sometimes the providers and also the clients are not comfortable for the interpreters because some providers immediately they grab their computer and they grab the chair and they do the what do you call the meeting, informal or casual. They start talking and they talk too much and they speak too fast and they ask you to interpret. And sometimes maybe they don't know to use the first person and a lot of problems. And also actually the client sometimes they ask you out of the topic some questions. So it might not be rude for them. Actually, you have to ask them to do so. Actually, in my opinion, if we create an introduction, what I mean is the interpreter. If we create an introduction that brings us on the same page, just to create a better environment for the next body of discussion. So actually, sometimes we don't do what you call introduction, or we don't know what is our limitation or what restrictions. So if we create some introductions, and if they are aware, especially the providers, if they are aware to ask us to create some introductions, what is our restrictions, and even the clients, they don't know what to do, what to ask. Sometimes if we tell them something about the interpreters, maybe it could be better for our interpretation. So maybe actually sometimes it's a problem for everyone, and it could be better. Even sometimes the providers or the clients, the clients, they ask you to call to WCB when they get time, when they get free time. So maybe sometimes if we create our introduction for better discussion of the next body of the environment, that could be better, maybe in my opinion. Thank you.
Well, so I'm just looking here. On Tuesday, June 3, 2025, Emmanuel received an email from me with a pure guideline and orientation for new interpreters. And you know what is there? Interpreter introduction speech. How is that possible? Other than that, we also have, do you guys are getting, hold on, let me just share that here.
No, actually, they are not allowing us to give an introduction.
That's what I'm. These from me. Where is that? Go back to the start. This. Did you guys get those things from me? Like what's going on? Who is who? The booking order, that's reminders, but here you'll have their remarks, claimants' remarks. What they are limited to. Here's your speech. Also, if you guys have your ID cards, when I was asking for them, I was providing the speech with the ID cards as well. Interpreter's remarks. So you can,
Peter?
you know what? Yeah, just give me quickly a second. If they comply, you can just show them this. This is your role, pretty much, to them. And if the requester has a problem with that, and they're not allowing you to stop them or to pause them or to do the introduction, well, call me and tell me who is that requester. But yeah, basically all the information here. I was trying to put as much information as possible in this orientation. That's a quick cheat sheet for the orientation, pretty much, right? So that should help at least a little bit. And yeah, they should not stop you from doing things. That should not happen. But yeah, that's also a good feedback. So we are getting those things over and over again. So no, that's good. That's good. All right, the last two questions, guys, and we're gonna wrap it up. Alejandra.
Yeah, well, I was just gonna mention what you just said. That's what I do. Like I mostly in phone calls because they just start talking like shoo, they go super fast. So I basically right at the end I introduce myself and I add like I would need a little gap when you talk so I could explain. I explain that in both languages. And like that works for me very well. After I introduce myself, I do let them know that I will need a gap in time from the translation so I could go back and forward. So they don't go talking like for 10 minutes and then I won't remember like all the 10 minutes they said, right? So that's helped me a lot.
No, that's good. That's good because you see that's how it works in the other direction. When we're talking about those boundaries and stuff, it's not just you're establishing them with the client, but you also need to establish them with the requesters. Because right now, they're not in charge anymore here. You are in charge here. Like you are the main person because without you, they're not going to communicate. And you need to tell them how this procedure is going to look like, pretty much.
Yeah, and I do have a question, Peter, sorry. this happened to me once over the phone. Like I was translating, and the lady that I was translating for, the customer, she was very upset about her situation. And then she started like, I translate from Spanish to English. So in Spanish, she started like cursing and saying a bunch of things. And then, well, I had to translate kind of that. But then at some point, like she was like yelling in the phone. So I just want to know if this was right or wrong, what I did. I had to stop and I said, I'm sorry, I'm just the translation, but I cannot continue if, you don't let me translate and you don't calm down, right? And I translated that to the WCB person. So I just want to know, was that like stopping there was for me, like as the interpreter, that's a good choice for me, or should I waited for WCB to intervene and do something?
Why did you shut down the session?
No, I didn't. Like, I didn't shut it down, but I told the customer because she was like nonstop screaming in Spanish. So I said in Spanish, like, with all your respect, I would need to stop like translating at this moment because I can't understand your screaming. You're very upset. And if you can calm down, I'm just the interpreter, right? And I'm
they need to know that they could. I don't understand people why it's like they're mad at them but they're yelling at you, kind of like, I think it's the part where they cannot communicate with them directly with the case manager.
Yeah,
So
and my
cannot,
question there is,
right,
was it correct what I did, or should I have waited WCV person to say something because the other person, like, hey, calm down, don't talk like that, or I don't know. So I just want to clarify that.
okay, well, I mean, okay, hold on, who do we have
It's
here?
kind of like a thin line, so
who do we have here in the list? Who's professional here in the list? Come on, raise your hand up. Who did have those appointments? I will find someone. Akram.
like maybe I would have interpreted what she said,
right,
but like I couldn't understand anymore what she was saying because she was yelling and cursing.
Well, I mean, Akram,
I can give you some help.
Well, okay, go ahead.
First of all, whenever a session is about to start, like the instructions that you saw Peter show earlier, regardless of how the client, like the one who make the request, pretend to be professional and accustomed with translation before, you need to state in advance that when you are, especially on the phone, you are to say 1 or 2 sentences maximum and take a break so that I may have time in between. And
well, yeah, but what if they lose it and they're yelling at you?
Yeah. And also tell the client that to use the first person. Now, when they go ahead, speak over and over, you just keep quiet and you say, now, could you repeat what you want to say? Because you say too many things. As we agreed at the beginning, I told you it's only 1 or 2 sentences maximum. Take a break and I'm going to put exactly what you say. But if you go like
hey, Alejandra, was the client
it would work.
Was the client a woman?
Yes. Yes.
All right, so Cassie, here's a heads up. The last thing you want to probably try is to silence a Latina. Yeah,
Yo también hablo español. Yo puedo entiendo como pensando.
That's what I hear.
What she was saying, I couldn't understand, so that's why I stopped and I said I can't continue because I can't understand anymore.
No, I mean, yeah, you're right, because it can be exhausting. Definitely, it can be exhausting. Oh, you can tell them to calm down a little bit. No, actually, no, that you're not saying calm down anymore.
Yeah, no,
to relax. To relax. Yes, to relax.
Peter, I have a good advice for this because I was dealing with a lot of issues with the people like that, right? They are very frustrated or they are stressed or whatever, but they need to know the person they go with them to translate or something like that, the person they want to help them. So they need to listen what he says. And then another things, and then I will advise any translate they go with someone, he need to explain to him about the boundaries. he need to respect other. If you go further, you lose the control. If you don't control your emotion, the things you coming from, or you need to do some things, is gonna be against you. So you are not gonna go anywhere. He need to know if you are aggressive, if you don't control your emotional feeling, you're gonna be in bad spot. So let's do this professionally. Let's listen. Just come, take your time, take 5 minutes, breathe, exhale, inhale. Let's do that again. So if you do this, you stop him because you put him the boundaries. This is how it's work. I know the people like because I know I read the escalation, never go further for half hours or 1 hour. The person he gonna be escalates. It's gonna be 5 minutes escalation, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. But after that, he calm down. If you approach him, you talk to him kindly, you told him what he need to do. But the person he translates, don't take it personally. If he come to you and then he stays to you, don't take it personally. It's not you, about his frustration. So if you don't take it personally, you find the way to calm him down. That's what I did. Even the person he gonna translate, he need to take like exhale and inhale, breathe a little bit. When you have exhale, inhale, after that start talking. It's gonna be
but it's only a 50-minute phone call.
Yeah, exactly. And would that be our job as a translator to do, or would that be the WCBI agent's work to do, right? Because we're just interpreting.
Usually it's WCB and case managers.
Yeah. It's the WCB case managers. They should calm them down eventually, because the frustration is coming from there about WCB. Because of WCB, most likely.
What about if we say, I can't hear you, and instead of say a bad thing or just run away?
Sure, you can try that too.
Well, I did like what I don't remember his name mentioned at first. Like, could you repeat? Or I didn't understand. Can you repeat again? And then you give them like a little time to calm down, maybe. And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they'll think about it because they'll have to remember everything they yell at you. So maybe they won't do it.
Yeah, if you yell with them and then get a mess. So just if you say like, I can't hear you, and then maybe they find a way.
Could you repeat it again in a respectful way or something like that? Yeah.
You know,
sometimes